I've been going through some photos trying to find some that you might be interested in. And, well, let's just say it's going to be through the years. We're going to be going through time. And so, but this is one, that's me and my sister. I never remember being taller than my younger sister. That was one of my big beefs with her growing up. But I guess I was. I don't know, I must have been. We were still down at the old place that got torn down later. So I am guessing that was probably when I was, I don't know, maybe 12 or 13, I don't know. If you've never seen Joe with facial hair, well, you never have seen Joe with facial hair. That's about as much as there ever was. And notice just how much hair's on his head. It was all nice and dark. Look at that 80s hairstyle of mine. All fluffed out. And I know that shirt was polyester. And maybe this was around the same time, I don't know. But my daughter has a similar hairstyle. This is the 3 kids. My oldest one, she's got a similar hairstyle. Our church used to take photos for, every few years they would take family photos for the church directory. And if you wanted, you could purchase some of those photos. That the church would get them for free, but then you had the chance to purchase a package for your family pictures if you wanted. That's just the kids. Oh boy, were they young. Pre that one. This is before that one. I don't know what this was. We were probably just down there visiting the folks, because this was in the big stone house. All 3 children are there. One just hasn't arrived yet. One is just not there yet. Her first birthday after she arrived, I insisted on having this little party thing for her down at my folks. Yeah, that got yellowed quite a bit over time. She was not feeling good at all. Poor thing. I insisted on having that birthday party for her. Okay.
Was that the last time Mom was at a nursing home?
It might have been. I know we had her over to the house.
She passed away not too long after that.
I think there's one more picture in a photo album of her somewhere, and then the one in there. But his mother hated being in front of the camera. Absolutely hated it. And at this point, she was using her walker.
Pretty much blind.
Pretty much. She was a resident of the nursing home Parkview at that time, but you guys were going and bringing her home for holidays.
Yep.
And
I think I was giving her a kiss on the cheek or something.
Probably. He just got new frames for these recently. There she is. I had to enlarge this from a snapshot, but she was such a beautiful woman. Her spirit, it's a little fuzzy it's a little pixelated, I suppose, because of the enlarging. This was my parents' 50th. Aren't they some good-looking people? I think this was taken at the church and they had a backdrop up or something. We've been married for 48 years.
We'll be 48 years.
Will be 40 years.
In August.
Yes. I do know it's in August.
Yep.
The 21st. Yes. Until you start going through old photos, you just You know, you just kind of forget some things. Now, here's this. Now, Joe's starting to recede a little bit there, but I won't point that out. I just did. But there we are. Now, by that time, I think Angie was married. So it's just Joe and I and Tony and Nina. This is our oldest daughter's at her wedding. And she had I thought her style for that wedding was absolutely beautiful. And it really showed off her and her husband. So, now, he's just a little darker skinned. He's
Native American.
Native American, yeah. And so it would have been better if we'd have maybe had a white backdrop. But I do think they took one outside, but I don't know where it is. And this is the
Cabin.
Yes. It's the cabin, Lord Ranch Resort up in Valentine, or near Valentine.
Actually, 17 miles from Valentine.
Yeah, 17 miles from Valentine. Up there, it's like, that's a neighbor. Now this one would be me with, that might have been me with Angie. I think it was.
I think so too.
When Angie was just a baby.
Your hair's...
This is me getting, now there's a story with this one, otherwise I wouldn't be. This is me getting my high school diploma in 1973. The deal with that was the man handing out those diplomas, the principal, he's long gone by now, but he didn't want me in school. At that time, I was a new mother. He didn't want me in the school. He thought I was a bad example to allow in high school because of other young ladies that age. But I really wanted to finish and get my high school diploma. I got in because my doctor was on the school board. He said he'd never heard such a thing. And so, yeah, I got in and he had to let me in. He didn't want me to graduate with the class. He wanted to just send my diploma. He didn't want me walking across there. A bunch of mothers. A bunch of mothers who had daughters in school. They went and they told him off. They said if that happened with their daughter and she had the nerve to go ahead and finish, go back to high school and finish. They said, because most of the time they just drop out and that's it. You want to try to explain that?
No.
Okay, it's not a digital, not at all, but that's Joe with all his long curly locks. He had a lot of curl in his hair, and my hair, I don't know why I'm even forgiven for that. And then that's our oldest too. Nina wasn't even a spot in our eye yet. There was a time when I was small enough to sit on Joe's lap. There's proof. I don't know what I'm looking at. Obviously, we had a bunch of stuff stacked. Oh, that's on top of a desk. Anyway, yeah, it was the 70s and 80s. But yeah, I was at one time small enough to sit on his lap. Let's see. You were 12 when your folks got divorced, right? 11. And then his mom remarried Jansen.
When I was 15.
Yeah. And Joe worked with his stepdad quite a bit. They were
construction.
Yeah, they did. They had a little pole trailer, and they would just.
Little camper.
Yeah. Okay. They had. You tell it. You know
It's
it.
like a little 16 or 20 footer. And then at the end we had a 40-foot trailer house that we pulled. from up here down to Kansas. I can never remember the name down there. We put in a bridge down there. And well, before that we had it up in Ponca, Nebraska, putting a bridge in. Well, I went up there and started laying pipe for another construction company that he'd been with for a long time. They hired a new supervisor and he didn't get along with him because he was college educated, but he wasn't
Common sense educated?
Yeah, on the hands job
Job experience, yeah.
experience. So they didn't get along. So he stopped the guy that was driving by that was doing the bridges. They was doing 2 bridges up there. We got hired on with the bridge company. And then after that we brought it down. That's when we drove it down to Kansas. It was a 40-foot trailer, 8 and 40.
And they could still legally pull it with a pickup.
Yeah.
Can't do that these days.
But now we had a 66 Ford pickup. It was a half ton, but we found a 3/4 axle and put a new rear end under it. 3/4 rear end. And we had to go a little slower because it was geared different. But we got down.
What men do.
Yeah, what can you do?
I said, what men do.
Oh. But, no, we used that until well, after we got down to Kansas, we went to we didn't pull it up to Holdridge. We went to Holdridge, Nebraska, putting in a bridge up there, and that's when I pretty much quit, July of '76, and then I started with a company called Peterson Manufacturing, which made vice grips in DeWitt, Nebraska, and I started there in August. Or was it July? No.
It was right before we got married because I didn't want you doing all that traveling.
It was July.
It was my fault.
Late July, early August. And then we got married in August, and I worked there 2.5 years, and I went to Storecraft. Worked there 20 years and 3 months.
And then the strike.
Yeah.
Yeah, they brought in, what was it called? It was,
Union Buster.
yeah. And it hurt both the company and the union. They ended up closing a few years later.
Yeah.
There were people on both sides that were getting some counseling over that. But then he finished out the rest of his career over at the...
Yeah. Worked at 2 lawnmower places.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Worked at one is, well, they Husqvarna bought them out. I worked there 6 months, and they kept saying I couldn't get on their health insurance, and I needed health insurance because I was paying Cobra. So I started with another company called Exmark, and they're associated with Toro. They make 0 radius turn lawnmowers. Worked there 2 years, and then I got talked into trying a state job over at the prison, so that's what I did.
Thing is, when you get to work for the state, I don't know about the federal, but the state, what they get you with, or what they keep you with, are the benefits. If you have a family and you get those kind of benefits, you don't get that in a factory.
Sick days.
Sick days.
Paid sick days.
Yes, paid sick time, paid leave, paid overtime. If you had to work on a holiday, you got extra for that.
Got double time.
Double time. So, I mean, I had worked for the state, and I knew how hard it was to leave. There's advantages and there's disadvantages.
You don't find a lot of jobs that pay you sick time.
No, you don't. Not especially not when it comes to factory type work and stuff.
The only rule is if you're gone 3 days, you got to have a doctor's note in order to come back, which...
Yeah.
I mean, unless you're really sick, you don't need to be off 3 days.
Probably we better say goodbye, and maybe we'll try this again sometime. Maybe we'll find some more pictures of you and your bunch. We did find some good pictures of him, though. He was one handsome guy, still is.
Yeah, so...
Then why are all the women in love with you?
I was always told I looked like a preacher.
When you got in that suit, you did.
Yeah.
But they used to tell my dad the same thing. Anyway, love you all. That was a loud one.
Yeah.
We'll see you again tomorrow. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Smile and wave. There's yours. Share
Bye-bye.
that out there with someone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Our hearts beat to the city streets. We began to feel the fire.